All right. Welcome everybody to today's Lunch and Learn. We have Alba Moy and Yolanda here with us today. First and foremost, I want to thank both of them for the delicious meal that they brought to us. It's lasagna. Say hi to everybody. Thank you everybody on Zoom for attending as well. Without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Yolanda. She has an event she has to go to, so she'll go ahead and get started and leave a little early.
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you for attending, and especially today on this rainy day, and I'm about to stop right now. I think most of you know me, Yolanda Martinez Arenas, WFG National Title Company. Been in the business 41 years, started when I was 5 or maybe 10. I love this industry, I love this business. Let's get over the age there. But I'm really happy today because Alba Moy ESCROW knows everything about ESCROW. Oh my gosh. And you've been in business how long, Alba?
This is gonna be my 44th year.
Wow. So we're very close in age here, like sisters, twins almost. But
So you started when you were 10 or something.
so we're very close. Anyhow, actually, I've known Alba for all my title years, and when I have an ESCROW question, I call her. That's how much faith in her. She's a walking encyclopedia dictionary of ESCROW. She knows a lot of titles too. So I'm really excited for today's class. And she's gonna give you a lot of knowledge. Unfortunately, I have a funeral to go to and I have to leave right now. And when the services were scheduled on today, we scheduled this class, I think about 2 months ago.
Right.
So I had told Alba I didn't want to cancel.
Our condolences.
Thank you. So I have to leave and I feel bad. But you know, like I said, I'm leaving you in very, very good hands.
She's trusting me with you guys. Okay.
Anyhow, thank you
again.
again.
That I do matchmaking.
Yes, she actually she did.
The very beginning.
So that's a true story. And you got. She sang at my son's first birthday party in Spanish with the mariachi.
His daughters.
Oh my, I'm sorry, my daughters, who is 31, gonna be 32, so that's how far back.
Wow.
And anyhow, enough with the personal stories and all that. I'm leaving you in good hands. But please call me if you should have any title questions. My card's there at the end of the table. Don't hesitate to call me. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day, all of you. Thank you.
Okay, Albert, all yours.
Thank you so much for coming and thank you for joining us today. I appreciate that you guys are allowing us to be with you guys. Let's make it a happy one. I'm Alba Moy from Moy ESCROW. I'm just 2 blocks away from here. I'm just actually, you can walk over there for your daily exercise. If you're welcome to come and see me anytime. I'm an open book. What you see is what you get. You know, so I'm the kind of person. I started ESCROW in 1979, and this is going to be my 44th year.
Wow.
And we opened Moy ESCROW on February 5th of 1990, so we just celebrated 33 years. So the Lord is blessing. I love ESCROW. ESCROW is my life. I am just so thankful and grateful that I can do ESCROW. Because I love dealing with people, I like drama, so whole thing. I calm your clients down, and no matter what, and they always have to be happy. If they're not happy, they don't get to leave. So that's it. And our office, I was born and raised in Nicaragua, so I speak Spanish. For those of you who don't know that I speak Spanish, I speak Spanish. I speak Cantonese and English, and I need to learn Mandarin and Tagalog, but eventually.
Wow.
And our office, we have an ESCROW office, we're also Vietnamese, so we're all multicultural there, and we're all a very friendly team. So please welcome. And I wanted to talk about escrow, and you're welcome to ask me any questions. I will give you all my answers from my top of my head. And to open escrow, the first thing you need to do is provide me with an fully executed purchase contract. Please make sure that you give me all the counter offers, because I don't want to type the escrow instruction with the wrong sales price, because I'm gonna get very upset. And give me all the addendums, make sure everything is initial, dotted, and the seller, make sure they sign, because a lot of times the seller gets so excited, signing, they forget to sign, they just initial everything. Because all of these will make the contract more solid. Not only that, it will avoid, when we close escrow, it will avoid the delays. Because at the last minute, we're trying to close, and then they say, oh, we're missing this, we're missing that, and we're trying to get everything together. But no matter what, don't worry, we'll try to make it peace of mind, make everything smooth, and closing is on target. And so then if the property, any questions so far? Okay, if the property is held in a living trust, then you don't have to worry too much, because the property is in the trust. So if the trustors, the original trustees, they pass away, or if one of them pass away, then the surviving trustee can sign. And if they both pass away, the successor trustee of the trust can sign. We'll need a full copy of the trust, any amendments to the trust, to make sure that whoever has the power to sign and transfer the property. And we will need, if there's certified copy of the death certificate for whoever passes away, because we need to follow to prepare an affidavit as a trustee and record it. So at the close of escrow, so that will show the chain of title, and I will clear that out. And we'll also prepare certification of trust. If the property is not in a living trust and is held by the individuals, let's say husband and wife, and they are holding title of joint tenants, no problem. So one passes on, then we'll do an affidavit as a joint tenants. We'll also need a certified copy of death certificate. And if they both pass away, then unless they create a trust, or if the property is held in 50-50, tenants in common, then you have to go to probate. So probate, if it's the simpler one, is where you have to have court approval and court confirmation. And if they have letters of administration or letters of testamentary for the estate, then the court will appoint an executor or the administrator of the estate to sign on behalf for the sale. And sometimes they'll have full authority. That means they can sign, no problem. Then we just need a certified copy with the letters. And if there's no limited authority, then that means the executor, must have court supervision, court approval. So far, so good?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's, and then when you have letters of administration or testamentary, you remember that we have to have a notice of proposed action. The notice of proposed action, it requires 15 days before we can close escrow. So that means if you notice it to all the heirs, so see if they approve the sale, we have to discuss the sales price and all that. If they have 15 days to approve or object to the sale. So if they object, if the heirs sign a waiver saying that they're not objecting, then you don't have to wait the 15 days. So that's, On the other one is full court confirmation. So your initial buyer might not be the ultimate buyer, because you can go to court and you can have overbid. So then the court issued a court confirmation. That's a document. And
Excuse me,
sure,
if there are several, let's say 7 sisters or whatever, and one of them decided not to sign, that will stop everything?
yeah, that's called that's the objection. Yeah. So you make sure you get along. It happens. We just closed a transaction a few months ago where there were 5 siblings. The 3 sisters didn't want to sell, the 2 brothers wanted to sell. So they went to court. Each of them got their own attorneys, and they went to court. The funds are still held in court because they're still fighting over disbursements. So it's sad to see that.
So how long did it take for that process to?
I mean, it could take few months, it could take years.
Oh, wow.
Albert, you want to just move a little bit this way? They can hear you a little bit
Oh,
this way.
okay.
Speak like right here.
Let me know.
Yeah.
Why
do some require full court confirmation and others do not require full court confirmation?
Well, You mean, well, when there's, in other words, when it's full court confirmation, that means the property is a full, I call it full blown probate.
Oh,
So then the court, then they have over these and stuff. And the other one is with the letters of administration, where the court authorizes the executor to sign with limited authority or full authority.
If a will is not working,
With a will, it means that you have to go probate. It just says that what the person wants to leave it to whom and all that kind of, it's called a testate or intestate,
so there is only the living trust. We don't need to. Right?
Yeah, but if you have a
We don't need
living
to
trust,
go
you don't have to go to court. Yeah, unless they
So and then what? I'm sorry, what's the big difference between a commercial and a residential escrow then?
Well, you can hold a title in the living trust, a commercial or residential property. In other words, you can hold title under a living trust. Commercial property is for business.
Right.
Residential is for. Yes.
and I just get confused after all these years. Can you explain joint tenant and tenancy in common? I always get confused.
Okay.
with that.
Joint tenancy is the right of survivorship. That means when one person passes on, the surviving, the one who lives the longest, gets it all. And tenants in common is with divisible interest.
Oh.
So that means you own 50% and Rosa owns 50%. You can will your 50% to your friends, parents, lover, and all that kind of stuff. And yeah.
So what happens if you're married and you have tenancy in common? So I get my 50 and my husband, what happens with that?
If you're married, you're holding title as community property.
Or community
Right,
property?
that's 50-50.
Okay, yeah.
But I have seen cases where husband and wife, they specify the interest. So they say husband gets 75%, wife gets 25%. So then I have to clear interspousal deeds for each portion.
Oh, my God.
So that way, then there's something.
But would that still be joint tenancy or would it be?
No, it will not be tenant.
No, then
It will be tenant in common.
tenancy.
With a different type of percentage.
Right, with a different time
Oh, I
percentage,
see.
but I still have to clear quitclaim deed. We
I
call them interspousal transfer deeds, but it's quitclaim deeds.
Mhm.
So make sure that when we close escrow, seller set up an account in the name of the trust. Because the proceeds will be transferred to the trust. So if it be estate, it will be the estate. So we have to make sure that the money goes.
So
to-
they would need an account for the trust.
Right, right. And if the people that are in the trust, if both of them are deceased, if one is alive, then you can just use a social security number for the person who's alive, the surviving one. But if they both pass it on, then we need to get an EIN number, which is that employee identification number. They can get it from the treasury department. They don't need that account to open, they need to that number to open the bank account on the name of the estate for the trust.
Even if they're deceased,
If they're deceased, they're gonna need to get an EIN number, a tax ID number.
and you can open up an account with,
As soon as you have the EIN number, then you can open in a bank account. In the name. Then they're gonna require. Yeah, Mary.
No, but our bank account is in our trust.
Right.
So if something were to happen to us, our kids, don't need to set up a separate trust account. There's already a trust account,
Right,
correct?
right, right. It's already under the trust. Any questions?
Question, if the husband and wife, one husband is passed away and the wife didn't do anything with the title, and then a year later, the wife passed away, now the kid is inherited.
Yeah.
Do they have a full 100%?
If the property is held, let's say as joint tenants, so dad passes on, mother stays up, is alive.
Yes,
But when the mother passes on, they gotta go to probate.
Yeah.
Because they didn't transfer to a living trust.
right.
So they
unless
gotta go
it's
to
in the
probate.
living trust.
Unless it's in the living trust.
Right.
And that living trust leaves it to the child, right? To the
Right,
kid.
the living trust specifies who would be the beneficiary. Right, right.
Now. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick, when you mentioned the trust earlier on, you mentioned a copy. So does it Can it be an actual photocopy, or does it have to be the original trust?
A copy will be fine.
A copy,
A signed copy will be good.
yeah, we will do that. And then also, there are people that amend their trusts.
We need to see that too.
You need to see the amendments,
Right.
right?
We do that too.
Yeah.
Yes, Camelia?
So you don't get involved with the disbursements to the errors then, right?
No, we don't. Yeah, we ask them to set up an account and the trust, and they can do all the disbursement because the trustee is responsible to follow the living trust. Yes, thank
This question, if we have a joint tenant, right, joint husband and wife,
Yes.
and for example, just husband signed a quick claim deed, okay? And what happens, wife dropped dead, what happens?
Probate. He's having probate unless they have a living trust. But usually that's how it goes.
Oh, I'm just saying that, the husband signed a quick claim deed, that means something happened, the wife dropped dead, gotta go to probate.
Right, because he quit, he has no interest.
How do you put something that,
Uninsured.
the husband who signed a quick claim deed, can he put back to the title, like, come back to?
He would have to go to court. It has to
That-
it has to be a probate.
And that quick claim's uninsured, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gotta go to probate.
But if the quick claim is, has already had beneficiaries, I mean, even though the wife died, right? But, when he did the quick claim, he has no interest in that.
He has no interest. The wife was
Yeah,
the
I
owner.
know, oh, I see.
But then usually when it goes to probate, I think what they think is spouses first, children, then parents, and then distant relatives.
Explain how probate work, once you go, the property is going to probate.
Okay,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Can you explain how the probate works after the property goes to probate?
She wants to know how the probate works after
Yeah.
the property goes into probate. Basically, you go get an attorney who is specializes in estate, and then they'll handle all that stuff, they'll do all the filing. Okay.
There are legal issues over there that she cannot take care of, nobody. You know, right.
That in probate, the attorney gets a percentage of the value of the property? Or is it?
I'm not sure about the cost. I usually don't get to see that in escrow.
Oh,
They charge the attorney's fees behind the scenes. Yeah, but I-
that's between the whoever hires.
the attorney.
It's a fee, but it's expensive.
Yes.
That's negotiable too.
Yeah, they're very expensive.
Yeah.
Third, okay, go ahead, Camelia.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were still presenting.
No, no, okay.
I was just gonna ask for any advice, that you guys, that like as an escrow officer, you wish that agents would know, but we just don't know.
You know what?
Yeah, that's-
I've been doing this for a long time. All I want you guys to do is concentrate in getting more business. Earn the fee, you just have peace of mind. If you transaction, there's no such thing as a small transaction or a big transaction. They're all beautiful transactions.
Yeah.
They all pay the bill, okay? Every single one of them count. So my advice to all my customers and non-customers too, just concentrate on getting the business, okay? Sometimes agents overtalk themselves and they give this beautiful client.
Yeah.
The client, gets so confused.
Yeah.
And it makes you seem unprofessional too, because you're not an attorney, you're not an escrow officer, you're not a title rep, and you're not a lender. So you should, just like Alba said, that's 100%. You should just concentrate on being a real estate agent and be the best real estate agent that you can possibly
But then
be.
you have a real estate agent with a connection. You say, oh, I have an expert on this,
Right.
I have an expert on that, I'll recommend you this, I'll recommend you that. You sound much more knowledgeable.
And that's what's gonna make you look professional. You know, if someone asks you, do you know of a gardener, then you're not gonna say, oh, this is how you do it. You're gonna say, oh yeah, call this person, or a web designer. You're not gonna try to design a website for someone. You're gonna say, contact this person and stuff. So be that professional agent that has the contacts that can answer their questions to the best of their ability and stuff.
Thank you, good question. Like Yolanda said, good question. There are certain cities that require pre-sale inspections.
Yeah.
El Monte is one of them, Compton, and there's some other cities. But City of Los Angeles, they require 9A report. Okay, it's a report, 9A, residential 9A inspection report. They don't need to go see the property, they don't send an inspector to the property. We send an application to them, they just pay them $75.85. And in 10 days, they'll give me the report. And usually what they do is they just do it internally in the office, you know, they check for assessments, sewer connections, and sometimes, you know, what happens is that if they don't pay certain liens, like for cleaning up or whatever, they'll put in the tax bill. So, and then if the sewers are connected, permitted issues, they show certification of the certificate of occupancy, just like the one, and then they show some permits and stuff like that. So that usually that's, so when we get the report and then we take a look at it, if it's clear permit, we don't have to worry. But if it says permit, in other words, not permit, that means the sewer, we need to do a dye test to make sure the water is going into the sewers. And hopefully there's no more bigger issues with that. And also, I recommend you to get a retrofitting company. To do a retrofitting. Because the retrofitting company, they'll take responsibility, they'll do a inspection report, and they will also provide a certificate of compliance that I need to submit to the Department of Water and Power. Okay, they will inspect for water heater strapping to make sure everything is up to code. If there's a smoke detector, carbon monoxide, and they will make sure that if there's any impact lacing, the glass, you know, make sure that you can see the black glass. Whenever it is not in compliance, they will report it and they will correct it. Unless the buyer wants to buy it, and they will take care of it.
I have a question really that, I mean, I don't know if you had experience. Let's say in the property, there are 3 houses.
Yeah.
And there was one family. So they connect to one sewer. So they are years after, you know, they subdivided, they sell it. So let's say the last house, when they're doing the test, everything will be only on one sewer line. Or they have to have, each property has to have their own.
No, one main,
One main will be a
one main per parcel.
person. Yeah.
Thank you, Ruben. Thank you.
And, what is the retrofitting cost? Just, you know, since
The
you're, you
inspection
know,
fee, it runs about $125. And then the gas shuttle file is about $400 maybe per shuttle file.
Sometimes when you order your inspection, they'll do it all at the same time.
Are you talking about the 9A report?
Yeah,
Okay,
Then you get the retrofitting also.
yeah, because, like when I did that, when I sold a property in LA and I got the report, they requested a lot of things to be corrected, like toilets, low flow toilets.
Yes.
They wanted a sliding door to be special kind of glass.
Yes.
And what else? And they wanted the gas meter to automatically.
Shut up. Yeah, that's automatic shut off.
Oh, yeah, to look, it was a fee for the report, and then there was a fee for doing all the work.
Right.
The corrective work. Yeah, every property is gonna be different. That's why you need to get that report.
Yes. If the property has a homeowners association, please provide the escrow officer with the name of the association, the contact and management company. There's some condos or some properties that would more than one HOA association. You know what I mean? So, and also prepare the sellers that there's an upfront fee. Usually ranges from $250 to as high as $800.
Wow.
Homeowners association.
Upfront fee for the homeowners association.
So who pays for the upfront fee?
Usually the seller. That's why you have to prepare the seller for that
So that has to be paid
in advance.
in advance.
Otherwise, they won't provide us the documentation.
What about if escrow doesn't close?
What's in advance?
It's already advanced.
Yeah, but like everything, remember.
They won't give it to you unless it.
I used to be able to pay for that. Once-
When we're talking about that, the seller having to pay, prepare, you're saying be right as you're listing or right as you're having an offer?
No, if you're listing it, let them know
Yeah,
that
let
there's
them
gonna be a fee from their HOA.
No, well, they need to get,
Or they'll need to
Ready
get it
for it,
when, okay, they have an offer?
In the purchase agreement.
In the purchase.
It's in the purchase agreement that the seller has to pay.
Yeah, you just have to prepare them that it could be ranging from this amount to this
Right,
amount.
so they won't be surprised. in
Yeah,
that
it's
difference.
mentioned in the lease, purchase,
The listing.
new purchase.
Yeah, most management company accept credit cards.
Yeah.
So that-
It's only 2023, right?
Oh, between $250 to $800 approximately. Per homeowners association.
Luxury condo, probably.
Well,
Yes, Sophia.
Again, how long it lasts for? Yeah, it is good for how long?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
The report.
The report, the HO, the homeowners association?
Right.
Oh, it's good.
Just only one time when before you want to sell it, right?
No, we only request that for when you sell it. In
Yes.
other words, so when your new buyer gets the documentation for approval.
Mhm.
And I always,
So there's financials involved in that as well, right?
right, you need to see the budget, make sure.
Right.
If there's a loan involved, there's not much problem because the lender has requirements.
Yeah.
So that kind of protects you.
So
from
it is,
default.
it's different from the CCNR. It's
Yes.
Right, it's different. Oh, yeah. The CNRs are just covenant conditions and restrictions. You can get that from the. So you can get that from the. Yeah, from the title company can provide for that. But the financial, the budget, the insurance, all that.
Mhm.
gotta get it from.
So I have a question. If we're dealing with a lender that has, the buyer's gonna be acquiring a loan. And the HOA sends you quarterly financials. What if it passes that quarter? Are they, are they gonna ask for the second quarter financials?
Well, if the HOA will have it ready, they'll provide it.
Okay.
But if they don't have it ready, then they'll tell you that
But
when
would
they
it
issue.
be prorated as well by the time it sells, suppose if we are in that term, 4 months, if they pay
Oh.
the HOA, right?
Well, no, that's just whatever the HOA, the
Yeah.
policies and the HOA provide. No, you're talking about proration.
We're talking about
We're talking about
financials,
that later.
the budget for the
financials,
actual
How
complex,
much reserve they have.
Oh, I see.
the project.
Does the lender has a minimum requirement for HOA reserve?
Yes.
They do. That's why I'm saying there's a loan
How much
involved.
is it usually?
Depends.
Depends on the lender.
Depends on the complex.
Because
yeah,
they
the better
always-
complex.
How many owner occupied,
Yeah.
not owner occupied. Okay, Clay.
As a matter of fact, sometimes when you getting the paperwork, as a buyer, when you see, the paperwork and there's not much of reserve, like there's some associate doesn't even have any reserve.
Right,
Correct.
So it's up to the buyers, hey, I wanna take a risk to buy, or I'm not
Right.
gonna buy.
Right.
And also lender has their own standard,
Right.
and different lender has different standards.
right.
So you guys gotta make up your mind whether you wanna buy, or you don't wanna buy.
Also, at the time of listing, if you're listing, you need to, it's good common practice to find out if there's any pending litigation.
That's true.
on the HOA.
Absolutely.
Because if there is, that's gonna affect the type of loan that the potential buyers can buy.
Absolutely, because I have one case that I report that they have a litigation. And you have to understand what's going on. I mean, litigation get involved pretty big, stuff like big item stuff. Then you gotta think twice.
What?
For little things, maybe, then it's up to the buyer. And
Well,
then-
From a lender standpoint, you can get past the pending litigations on condos. What they're gonna require is to see a copy of the litigation from their attorney. And if there's an amount that they're claiming for that lawsuit, as long as the HOA has those reserves to cover that suit, then they can do a spot approval on that and the loan can go through. However, I've been in situations where they don't know the amount of the litigation because it's still pending and they don't
Right.
want to release information because they're trying to, on one side, they're trying to get maximum and the other side, they're trying to decrease it. So in that case, the lenders will not touch it because they don't know the amount. They don't know if the HOA has sufficient funds to cover that litigation.
So in that case, loan won't be approved.
Nope,
Nope, not approved.
you'd have to get a hard money loan or all cash,
Okay.
or it just sits until the litigation's resolved.
Especially FHA, right?
Exactly.
All of them.
Government will not touch it.
And some HOAs are not approved by. the-
So that's why I tell you, as a listing agent, what good is to list the property if you know it's gonna get stuck? Because
You don't
you know,
want to.
if it's in an area where there's a lot of high-end homes, people could buy it cash. But if you're in an area where the majority is FHA, first-time home buyers and stuff, they're gonna have a tough time unless that litigation, you could contact the attorney and do some investigative work and saying, how far are we at with this, litigation? We're at almost closing, we should be wrapping it up, and then that way you can, cause most homeowners with condos and townhouses would be getting those notices that there's litigation against the HOA, but they don't know what's going on. It doesn't pertain to their unit until you come along and you investigate and you let them know that it's gonna prevent them to sell it to certain buyers and stuff, so it's important.
So that's why it's a good idea to check even with the association to see the FHA, approved, right, before you even.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
So you don't accept those offers. Yes, Alex.
No, you said that.
The HOA, I want to talk about power attorneys.
Yeah.
Power attorneys, the lenders, if it's a borrower, you know, do a power attorney, it has to be a specific power attorney, just for that particular property. But the lender has to approve it, because now most lenders are not allowing borrowers to sign with a power attorney. And the same thing, some of the lenders are not even allowing the seller to sign with power attorney. They want to see, because it's just, and then the power attorney is usually good for 1 year, the title company, they accept it within a year. And a general power attorney is for anything.
Okay.
So if somebody gives you a general power attorney, you can go into your bank account, you can sell their soul. It's just, that's what it's called, general, for everything.
There's a blank check.
Yeah. So make sure that if your clients want to execute a general power attorney, make sure they talk to the attorney.
And the other kind is called what?
Specific, I mean, just for that particular property.
Right,
That's it, nothing else.
good to know.
And then another subject is always questioning people, do we use a grand deed or a quick claim deed? Okay. I prefer a grand deed. A grand deed grants all the powers. A quick claim is just quitting the interest. Yeah, so whenever we use documents, we use the grand deed. And other states, they call them different. They call them warranty deeds.
Yeah.
And then the good funds law. The good funds law, that means we must have clear funds to close escrow. So prepare the clients to always make sure they're ready to wire the money to close escrow. We need the money wired in so we can close, to be faster. And because sometimes the client want to save themselves $35, $50. Can't do that by close of escrow. Because we need to make sure the funds are clear. And if the cashier check I issue from Chase, Citibank, Bank of America, they're all from out of state. So they're and some out of state, some of the cashier checks are fake. Just
Oh my God, really?
So it's better to prepare them to do the right, okay? And make sure all the funds are in here, because right now, when they're wiring from overseas, sometimes the money comes in, but the bank for some reason will hold the funds. I have a transaction where the parents wire money for an all cash transaction, and we're stuck. Because HSBC will not release the funds. So, the little things cause delays.
Is there still abundant, right?
Abundant, right?
Yes. Yeah, on behalf of the quick claim or grantee. Still exists because I saw one,
Oh, I don't remember seeing an abundant.
no more.
And also, when you have a transaction, sometimes the seller doesn't need all the money, there's a lot of equity, then the seller can carry back. That means the seller can be the lender. So then,
Yes.
make sure that the terms take over. Yeah, that means the seller will be the lender, the buyer will pay the seller the monthly payments. And make sure that you have the interest rate, for how many years, and if it's amortized for 30 years, and doing 5, or amortized for 15 years, or fully amortized. All those terms have to be given to the escrow.
But that's prepared by the seller.
Well, the sellers, they will make a financial statement, but we'll prepare the document through escrow.
Well, that's because I have, next question is that when we getting a listing and the seller, like you say, have the money, equity, doesn't need the money right away. And he can do the carry back,
Right.
you can handle all that stuff with my
Yes.
client.
Yes,
And I'm gonna tell my boss, hey, talk to Alba, let Alba work it out with you guys. Whatever, I mean, 5%, 3%,
Yeah,
whatever.
want to negotiate
I
that.
know.
part first. Yeah.
Honestly, both of them, me,
Yes,
and nitty gritty,
Right.
you can handle it. You-
right. Oh, yeah, we prepare documents.
Excuse me, in those cases when the owner carried the loan, it's a lot of issues that have to be involved. What if it, say 5 years, for instance, then the buyer stopped paying the house?
Good.
So it's not, so it cannot be done for us, so how can it be done
To a
by a
trustee.
lawyer?
Yeah, the trustee. If
Exactly.
they don't pay, then they can foreclose. or they
Yeah,
can-
Because the property goes to all the country.
You get the 5 years money free and then you get your whole thing back.
And then when it's fully paid off, we need to do the substitution of trustee and full reconveyance
Exactly.
and get the note from the seller, so that way, we can release the legal trust.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's important, because when there's a private lender, they forget about that part.
Yeah, they don't issue the full
Yeah,
recommendation.
10, 15 years later, but make sure that the original note, because whoever has the original note, it says, if I have a note that says, you paid it. So that's basically, the note is very important.
Yeah.
Because there was a transaction where the heirs went and sued the title company, because they said they were never get paid off. Because when they were going through the paperwork from the parents, they found the note. And of course, there was no proof,
Yeah.
so many years, and when people pass on, the children, or they don't know, they don't have no idea. So the greedy children or whatever.
Yeah. They just came for the loan, that's it.
Any other questions? Any questions that you guys not gonna know? Yes. Oh, go ahead, Sir Camelia, then we'll go.
Independent escrow versus non-independent escrow.
Okay, that's a good question. Independent, we are ruled by the Department of Business, no, it's not called
Oversight?
Department of Innovation and Protection Services now. Used to be Business Oversight, Department of Corporation, so they keep changing the names, but we are independent, we're neutral. We are not on one side or another side. And well, you have to be as neutral as you can be, as a human being, but you have to be neutral and ethical and, it could be title insurance, escrow, they have there's no rule, in other words, there's no guidelines. And real estate owned escrow. Because a lot of the real estate companies, they have an in-house escrow, but they can only handle escrows when their agents are representing the transaction. That's for the non-independent.
That I didn't know.
Yeah, so, and there's no neutrality, I don't think, in those situations.
Yeah.
Do they still have to follow the rules of escrow?
The basic rules, we all have, they should follow. But who's looking over it?
Right.
The big broker is the one watching, is the one who pays the bills.
Yeah, one of the things that I saw on non-independent, which is why I don't like non-independent, is they said in their escrow instructions, it said all contingencies will be automatically waived at the time of the date passes. And I thought, why is escrow including these? They were not independent. They were not independent.
We follow the purchase contract. And we follow those, the time, the contingencies and guidelines we purchase contract.
I have
Yes, what's that?
I think it's about the cost. And the different costs.
Okay,
Are they rule?
well, they're pretty much,
Está-
say is, pretty much,
Yeah.
everybody, sometimes more, sometimes less.
Yeah.
So I can't really go into detail on other people's costs.
Yeah,
But usually you need an estimate, just send me an email and I will prepare an estimate for you, and
yeah.
those are the good luck estimates, yeah.
Yeah. That's really, yeah. 1.1.
Basically, I usually like to put everything in the computer. Let the computer
Yeah.
do the talking.
Yes, yeah.
And then I can just.
Alba, I have a question. It was titled, but she had to left. Thing is this, we close the escrow, then after the escrow is closed, don't show up liens and something that the title needs. I never seen case like that, but I know it happens. That's what I think.
That's why you have title insurance.
Of course, but
So the client will let the title company know, title company will determine. Right.
yeah, but I'm talking about the deal closed already, and suddenly, boom,
Yeah.
mechanically come out.
Okay, if it's something after the recording date, then I'm responsible. If they miss something prior to the recording date, then they will take care of it.
The title.
Yeah, let's say, for example, they missed a deed of trust. They will disclose that there was an existing equity line of credit that was
Okay.
paid off. So the buyer will get a foreclosure notice, that's what how scary it is. And then that's how we have to, we step in and the title company will.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's a, oh, regarding the, there was a payoff. They are, ask the seller for the latest mortgage statement. So that's the best way to get the information, because sometimes they sell the loan, they transfer the loan, and the latest payment statement is. And if it's a private lender, let the escrow officer know right away too. Because they need to get the information and request, because private people, they don't respond real fast. And by law, they have 21 days to respond.
Yeah.
So you can threaten all you want, but they will just take their time. And then we have to get a substitution trustee and for reconveyance, get all that signed and ready for refills. That's just it.
Just curious, if a international buyer buys with cash, how long is the holdup of money?
You mean if the money's already in the estate,
Yeah,
then close right away, we just.
no, yeah, but if they're transferring, like you said, the bank holds the money, right? So according to your experience, how long does it take? For the, international.
It's on the case, but usually it takes about 3 days, 3 business days.
Shouldn't they have to be on the account for 2 months?
Oh, yes, see the name of the fund?
No, that's how you know when you qualify, but you buy all cash.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Isn't it true that right now, for instance, say I'm buying this house, all cash? Where the money come from? From China. They have to prove that the money is first on the state for 2 months on the bank.
Is it?
Isn't it true?
You can wire directly from China. You can wire directly from China or any country.
Let's make it.
But Ruben, but when you're writing a contract, you have to show all the.
Yeah, you can, yeah, that's regard, source of funds, yeah.
But then source of funds, if it's international, don't you have to, it'll be international?
Yeah, they will provide.
Yeah,
their bank-
You just get a bank statement from, yeah.
But if it's in Chinese, you need to make sure it's translated. I will know what it.
Also the exchange currency too, if it's tight, yeah,
To determine the amount, yeah.
right.
What about the Bitcoin?
No Bitcoin.
I think for Bitcoins now, you have to season it 2 months into a bank and save it there. You cannot remove.
That's what I thought that after.
That's for
after-
Bitcoin though.
After 9/11, I thought that they put the law that it says, no matter you're gonna buy cash, your money has to be sitting in the bank for 2 months.
That's here.
But that-
It
Yeah.
stays, yeah.
Yeah, not for international wires. Right.
As long as.
So, but still, then someone came from China and said, the money's in China, it's coming, so we can do the deal.
Yeah, only.
Yeah.
If you show the bank statements and all.
So the bank have to.
And exchange and all.
That's if they're getting a loan.
Right.
Yeah,
And also, when you are handling, when you have purchasers who are buying under LLC or partnership or corporation, prepare them that they're gonna have to complete, it's called a FinCEN, financial. FinCEN, FINCEN. Is because they want to make sure where the money's coming from, there's any money laundering.
Yeah.
That's right. They need to know.
terrorism.
The Treasury Department requires that, and that has to be approved before we can close escrow.
Yeah.
So, and every officer or member or any of the LLC corporation, or they need to fill out the form. In other words, anybody who owns 25% interest or more of equity of the property, they need to.
Does the property has to be above $1 million or below $1 million? Does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It's for single family residents, 1 to 4 units, and in certain areas, targeting, some areas don't have. to.
What's that process take for the?
Approval, if they give me
Treasury.
everything, including the driver's license, it takes about maybe 24 hours.
Okay,
Yes, that's correct.
When you say approve by phone,
Oh, by FinCEN, the finance, it's called financial, yeah, the enforcement. It's called Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. Yeah, for the US treasury, you know, they're by the US treasury.
I want to see case.
24 hours, about 24 hours.
The question is this, I mean, like a couple of years ago, a lot of people buying property on the LLC, because they don't wanna let the people know that the person who's the person actually buys. I think 2 years ago, they came out with a law that you have to disclose the person, right?
Well, actually, when there is an LLC, we
Right.
need to see the operating agreement, we need the articles of organization, so it shows on the agreement who is the member, who's the manager, and all that, corporate officer. If it's a corporation, I need the the bylaws, the corporate resolution,
Articles.
article of
Okay.
incorporation.
So you can't hide nowadays.
You're talking about the transfer tax. In the old days, you could hide the transfer tax, make it non-public, but now everything has to be public.
Got it.
Everybody has to.
You could search who's the owner of a corporation or LLC on the California database. Or,
Once they file.
yeah.
Any questions? Any more questions? You guys know everything already.
No, it's your phone number, that's it. 911.
Let me ask on Zoom. Anybody on Zoom have any questions for Alba concerning anything that has to do with the escrow?
No, not me. Thank you so much. We do get a recording of this, right?
Yeah, it's been.
It was a little hard to hear.
I
okay.
understand, yeah. Alba has a very soft tone.
Yeah.
No, it's not that, because when you have everybody talking, it the microphone tries to capture everybody, so it cuts out here and there.
Okay. I'll see if we can put it together on the bullet points, and then I'll send it out to everybody as well with the recording.
All right, thank you.
Any questions, you can always call me.
Just as a comment, when Alba began the seminar, he says, just worry about to get more deals.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's exactly,
Yeah.
I have a great experience when I had quite a few, but one of them, the last one that I did, it was during the pandemic. My client, of course, passed away. There were seven sisters. I just got that thing, that bomb, and Alba, here's my client. She came from Arizona. She was the director. And Alberto was the one who took care of everything. Explain about get a bank account for this. I mean, it was a smooth deal, but it took us like 6 months because to get the death certificate.
It's a COVID.
Yeah, because like COVID. But beyond that, when you have a better hand at this, you cannot have.
So you what you saying there was.
I just wonder, is there?
Hang on, guys.
Yeah. 40 years ago. Is there any big difference?
Oh, yes. Used to be so much simpler. Oh, big difference.
Regulations.
Regulations.
Yeah.
The purchase contract used to be 1 page.
Oh,
Then it was like, whoa, it's 2 pages, now it's any regular. And the escrow instructions, we used to use carbon copy.
yes.
Everything is carbon copy. We didn't have fax machines. It was just, but you made it work. And guess who were the messengers? The realtors.
Yeah.
So go pick up the documents and bring them, prepare it, and then become the title reps for the messengers,
And also to verify the fund wiring is a big difference, right? Because now they don't go through the agents anymore, directly from the escrow to the buyer or.
They always need to confirm the wiring information.
Right.
Oh, Alba, sorry, one more question. So if the client came to close the escrow and bring a cashier check, they still can bring it, but we know there's a delay of
10 business days.
10 business days.
Yeah.
Wow,
Because when your seller wants their money right away, when we close.
that's correct,
Yeah.
correct.
And I just certainly don't have money to
Why not?
cover that. Yes, well,
No, actually, what I want to say is,
Uh,
is very good in giving
Cashier check.
estimate.
Oh, thank you.
Because, immediately, I send her a property and I get it probably in 5 minutes. Yeah.
Not to
Ready
brag,
for my
but my estimates
presentation.
are really accurate.
Yeah,
They're
right.
very, very close to the final. As a matter of fact, the final, the sellers get a few dollars more. Because that's, that's how.
And
So that's-
also provide very good service.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, my clients.
Thank you.
Rest assured, you're in good hands with Alba.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you for
And she
hiring.
looks fantastic.
Okay, so you have a question?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, I have a question.
having a banking background, I know that nowadays personal checks clear overnight. Why do cashier's checks, which are certified plans, have to take 10 days?
Because, yeah, because it's out of state. Most
out of
cashier out of
state
state. Because some cashier check are gone.
I know.
Even though it clears overnight, but we don't get to see it. See, I don't know if a check is NSF until 4 or 5 days. Because even if it clears or not clear, by the time I get notified, it's 4 or 5 days. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, you have a question behind you. I will.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. Okay, joint tenancy, there's no divisible interest, but it's assumed 50-50.
Okay, does that answer your question, Diana?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Ruben?
Ruben?
Yeah, just want to give a compliment. My customers are really happy with your service last week, especially the fact that you spoke Spanish to them.
Oh, thank you.
Their only concern was the tax thing, and Alba explained it to them. Why are they taking this tax money out? So,
Yeah.
Tax for withholding.
She
yeah.
speaks better Spanish than I do.
Yeah, you're right.
She does.
For show sales, I have the tons of show sales, and it's so complicated.
And they're coming again.
She's the best for show sales. Yeah.
Thank you. I got such a big head, I don't look.
If you're worse, everybody's saying that you're an excellent escrow officer.
Thank you, Dad. Thank you so much. I feel the love and I really appreciate it. I'm not very good in speaking fun, but Ruben told me, get your shyness out of the way. If Yolanda was here, she would have taken over.
Yeah. No, we welcome you and we value your
Thank you.
training and expertise.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm only a phone call away. So, no matter
And
what.
2 blocks away.
And 2 blocks away. Walking distance.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Come on.
Thank you for the first.
I think Italian food is heavy for you.